Um, so good afternoon again, everybody. Welcome to our first webinar, Digital Transformation, What You Need to Know. I am Schofield Thomas, Managing Director of 800 Tech Limited. And this is our first time doing this. It's a first new experience for us. We hope that the content that we bring to you guys will be enlightening and it will help you transition your business from the industrial age or the partial digital age that we were in before into this new digital realm. So once again, thank you for joining in. Look forward to more parts to this series of conversation, and we'll take it from there. Alongside me today is my co-host.
Hi guys, I'm Nadia Baye Thomas, Director of 800 Tech, and I'm so pleased to be with you all this afternoon. I hope everyone had an opportunity to grab their lunch and get comfortable before we got started. We've been in business for approximately 8 years, and we've had the opportunity and the experience to spend a lot of quality time with clients, transitioning them out of some very archaic manual systems, and as Kofi rightly said, some that are already somewhat in the digital space but wanted to get a lot more aggressive into that digital environment. So digital transformation, what we need to know. So one of the things that we know for sure after spending all this time in this space is that digital transformation definitely improves efficiency within organizations. We know for sure that one of the key things is that cost is reduced, whether it's from the resource level, whether it's from literally the consumables, cost is reduced. And more importantly, for the executives, we look at the real-time data analytics. Because one of the key elements and one of the key benefits of digital transformation is being able to get real-time data at your fingertips, to be able to get all that critical information so you can make that switch quicker and sooner rather than waiting for a month. So everything is a behind-the-sight approach when you're taking critical steps into making decisions in your organization. So we look at how to change mindsets. Schofield?
All right, so changing mindsets, this is a critical part in any transformational process. So before you can effect any change, you have to be able to change how you approach it and what your opinion of it is. So the first thing we always ask our clients to do is, what is your feeling towards digital transformation? How do you feel towards it? Is it something that you embrace fully? Is it something that you're not too sure about right now, but you're being forced into it? This is critical because this is the emotional part of technology or the transformation process that we must overcome at the first hurdle. We have to change our perception of digital transformation or digital technology to be able to transition smoothly into digital transformation, into digital technology. So things that we must ask ourselves. The archaic system or the legacy system that we utilize right now that, yes, it gets us through our daily processes. Yes, it's okay. Is it sufficient? Does it meet the demand of a changing environment? What about performance? How does it perform? How does it stack against modern tools? Do we compare and contrast these things unbiased or with a biased eye because we're afraid to change? So some of these things we have to ask ourselves. Our data is in different areas which we call silos. You know, you store some things in Excel, then you store some things on your server, and then you have stuff in another application somewhere. They all don't talk together. Is this sufficient for the new digital age? It may have been sufficient for the industrial age that we were in, or the, as I like to call it, the partial digital age that we were in. It would have been sufficient for that time. But going forward, is this enough? Does this give us the competitive advantage that we're looking for? So we have to change our mindset because we have to stop thinking about competing on a local level and start competing on a global level. And if we're competing globally, we have to have the tools that the big dogs have. We have to have tools that can stack us right alongside these other conglomerates and big businesses internationally, not just locally in Trinidad.
So we ask ourselves, are you ready for change? And please don't hesitate to just jump right into the comment section and indicate in your organization, is change only happening at the lower level? Are the executive team expecting the lower level to integrate technology into the environment? Or are you fully understanding that for digital transformation to take place, this has to happen from top all the way to the bottom? The executive team must engender, must literally carry the torch for this change to take place. We have to understand that digital transformation, yes, we know it's technology, but with all the technology that we have in place, if you do not have that mindset to integrate the technology into your environment, if you are not the person that is literally holding that torch and running it through the organization and ensuring that from top down, this is taking place, no amount of technology, no amount of new age thinking, of new age, support can get you there. Are you ready for change? You have to be that catalyst in your organization to push and project that change. And that is a critical component. And above everything else is that. And how do we get to that point? Step one. And what we've done, guys, we've very succinctly, and you will see this as we go through the webinar, we've actually put it in a stepwise approach so that it's very guided and very clean for you all to understand how you go about instigating these changes. You must first understand the vision of the organization. Sit with the executive team and really embrace it within the next 3 years, within the next 5 years. What do they want the organization to look like? In terms of scalability, in terms of their profit margins, in terms of all the other key components, what do they look for? And then we begin to actually dissect the organization by department to department to department. In each department, we have to look at the current processes that take place within that department. And now we look at each process and we marry it with the performance baselines for that process, the current challenges that we experience in the process, and of course, how the process is actually executed. Once we have an appreciation for that, then we do an IT audit. And Schofield is going to get a little bit more into how this IT audit is conducted.
So after we conduct our IT audit, it gives us a listing of what we have available, what tools we have available to us right now, and we marry that to what's available on the market, and then we see, okay, what can we keep and what we have to transition into. So we ask ourselves, what tools are available? And surprise, surprise, a lot of you all may not already know that Office 365, there are a lot of powerful tools for digital transformation. How many of you all currently have 365 in your environment? You can put a thumbs up in the chat bar to let us know that you're working with 365 already, but you didn't know that all these tools were available in 365. So we're gonna give you a little overview of some of the ways you could actually utilize 365 to actually transition your business digitally. So this is one of the tools that we're gonna utilize in businesses to help them transition. And this is something that we've gained from experience. We've worked in the environments and they have all the 365 tools, and yet still they don't have a transformational plan in place, or they don't know where to start or what to do with it, or they simply just use it for email access, OneDrive access, or because of COVID, Teams, and they don't actually synchronize everything together. So Microsoft helps us along the way. So they came about with this platform that they call the Microsoft Power Platform. And the Power Platform is a combination of these apps, and there are others, but we highlighted these 4 apps: Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agent. So we're not going to touch too much on Power Virtual Agents today, but that is more driven for sales and for automated processes in terms of robotics and bots. So that's what that is for. But we're going to dive a little deeper into the others. Power Apps. Power Apps is something that they call a low-code canvas solution. What is that? What does that mean to me? What does that mean to you? So what it is simply, it simply says that you can build apps with little coding experience to drive your business. Powerful apps, that is. So if I give you an example, so some clients would have, let's say you want to do a fleet management system. You have a fleet of vehicles, construction site or whatever it is you have, your fleet of vehicles, and every day your drivers or whoever's responsible for the fleet would go out on the field or in the car lot with this Excel sheet attached to a clipboard and check off the different safety checks that you have. Power Apps, we can create an app out of that Excel sheet so that the user doesn't have much to do or doesn't have much learning curve, involved to actually transition, because everybody now would know how to utilize a tablet or a phone. And because the application will look very familiar, and we're going to utilize or use or reuse some of the same fields in the application, it's going to be familiar to them, just in a different location. So instead of going out in the field with a clipboard with this piece of paper attached to it, what is going to happen now? He's going to go out on the field with a tablet or a phone. And on the tablet or phone, he's now going to be able to check off all the safety requirements on each vehicle as you go along the line. So let's say his name is John. So John is on the field in the car lot, checking off all these things. Typically what would happen, John would have this thing attached to his clipboard, check it off, compile them all in one, bring it back to his desk, put it in, key that information into Excel spreadsheet, and then probably email it on to his fleet manager. His fleet manager would then extract information from that and send it higher up, let's say probably his head of command, and then eventually end up at the board level. They would want to know what is happening with our assets that we have deployed. But now with digital transformation, John can quickly utilize that information, create this Power App, and directly on the field, for the time John checks off a check mark or clicks on submit, his fleet manager would have that information readily available to him. And this is where this other application is going to come in, Power Automate. So utilizing that same example, John would normally have to come back, walk back from the fleet yard, come back in, collate all that information in Excel, forward that information via email to his fleet manager. His fleet manager would extract the information, then forward that to his head of command. And then from there, it will go again to probably the board. Power Automate is your digital courier. Power Automate will ensure that this task gets completed efficiently and with alerts. And the beauty of Power Automate is you can specify what flow you want, what alerts you want, and who you want to notify of what. So normally if John sends it out, he may have to follow up with a call and say, hey, Peter, I just sent you that thing, so just take a look at it. No. With Power Automate, you can set notifications in Power Automate that it would alert Peter that, hey, John just sent you something, either for approval or for you to sign off on. All right? That is how Power Automate operates. And this is what it looks like in the background. So this is how you actually code. It's drag and drop fields that you actually pull and you configure your flow. It's really called a flow that we create in the background. So this is now generated after we do our assessment and after we do our re-engineering process. We either actually keep our old flow or we could redesign our flow and re-engineer our flow to become more efficient. The beauty of this is Power Automate, you can actually change your flow at any given time without much effort, which is excellent. Because before, if for instance, you have a check sheet that you're utilizing and then there's a change, you have to go and reprint all these check sheets and then send out a whole set of emails to say, okay, the change is this, send out a memorandum of memo to the whole environment that this is the change that's gonna happen now. No, you don't have to do that. You change your app, your Power App, and then you change your flow accordingly in your Power App. And your employees would not even know what's happening in the background. All you're required to do is take this tablet, go outside, do the fleet check, and come back in. And it would actually do its job in the background. Then every business owner wants to know what's happening in their business. What's the pulse of their business? There are key things that they look for. So in this example, they may want to know when it is checks were done, what the tire status look like, when the vehicles are going to become due for servicing. They will want to know all these things. And that's where Power BI would come in. Power BI would utilize that data store and extract the pertinent information that you're looking for and display it in a beautiful dashboard interface that that would have the information that you're actually looking for. So again, John on the field, hit submit, it comes back in. John doesn't have to notify his manager, it goes straight through the flow, down to the board. They would be able to just pull up Power BI, look at the dashboard, and they would see that, okay, this is what's happening with our fleet at any given time. So the information is not going to take 2 weeks to filter to the board anymore. The information is going to be in real time. So think about the savings that you're going to have in terms of productivity with this. And this is what it looks like. It's a graphical representation of your data. And again, it's exactly whatever data you want to extract, you can extract with Power BI. All right, so whatever your KPIs are, Power BI would extract the pertinent information and display it on screen for you.
Now, guys, we are very aware that not every single organization is going to have Office 365. And so, from our years of experience, we've been able to create a very customized digital solution called 360 Suite. Now, in this environment, and I'm going to just quickly go through some of the applications, what it does, it allows for a common thread of applications for all organizations. So for example, the 360 DMS, which is a document management solution, is literally our answer to Power Automate. It allows for the flow of documents throughout your organization. It allows for the customization as well. It can tweak the flow. Instead of it going from, let's say, the employee to the supervisor, if we need to skip the supervisor, we can tweak that flow to employee to manager. We can also capture any edits that are taking place in the document. We can also capture the timestamp on that document as well. We have 360 IMS. 360 IMS, which is used in warehouse solutions to really monitor and manage the levels of inventory. And then 360 PMS, which is the payment solution, payroll management solution. As you're well aware, every single organization, this is obviously a solution that they're going to need, that they're going to utilize. And the beauty of this is that it can be easily integrated into the HRM solution. You're easily able to generate government statutories within this environment, as well as pay slips within this environment, and digitally process and send those pay slips to your employees within the organization. And of course, we have 360 RMS, the recruitment management solution, which is also seamlessly integrated into HRM. But I want to spend a little bit of time on the HRM, which is the human resource management solution, because as you can appreciate, this is the best starting point for all organizations, because it really touches each individual department. And the benefit of that is when you can touch each individual department, then you can get quick buy-in and a quick understanding of the power of digital transformation. And we need this because, as we spoke to before, we want to change the mindset of the employees, the supervisors, the managers, the executives within the organization. So the best point to start is always in a space where everyone is interacting with digital transformation. So one of the key modules in this environment is called employee management. And if you think about it, in most organizations, there is this tall filing cabinet, and in the filing cabinet, many manila folders filled with all of the information requisite to an employee. In this environment, we don't have to worry about this, because what it does, it provides you with the full life cycle upon entry of the employee until their tenure has ended and they have exited the organization. And if you look at the application in the next slide, what you would see is just a snippet of the information that we are able to gather succinctly in this module. And if you're looking just below, you will see the banking information, NIS, BIR. And the reason we're capturing these bits of information here is to allow for the seamless integration into the PMS or payroll management module. Another key module that we want to focus on as well is the leave management. Now, we all know, and we spoke about it, we spoke about improved efficiency. That was one of the main things I spoke about when we now started. And I want you to tell me, and please jump in the chat and feel free to add your comments and your thoughts behind this. Tell me if this sounds like your organization. Somebody wants to go, an employee wants to go on vacation. The employee has absolutely no knowledge as to the number of days that they're entitled to for vacation. They need to call their HR department, and HR says, Okay, I'm going to check on it. I'll get back to you. HR hangs up the phone. HR now has this elaborate spreadsheet that they need to go into and do their checks. And it's if HR remembers the employee to call them back. If they don't, the employee needs to call back. HR then needs to check again. And then the employee gets the information. They now print this leave form, fill out this leave form. They put it on their supervisor's desk. The supervisor doesn't know how much leave they're entitled to. So now the supervisor needs to call HR to get that same information. The supervisor signs off, and then they need to also print that document as well and submit to the manager. Do you see what's taking place? In some environments, some of our clients have told us applying for vacation can take as much as 5 days, 5 working days of information being bounced back and forth between employee, supervisor, manager, and HR. But what if there was a better way? And this is where digital transformation comes into play. If you look at the screen in front of you, you will see a section called Available Days. And this is where this critical data is visible to employee, supervisor, manager, as well as HR. So the employee no longer needs to call and ask. The employee can quickly get the information here. The employee can quickly add any sort of requisite supporting documentation and send it forth via the application to the supervisor, get approval, next to the manager, get approval, and then finally to HR. And all of this with email notifications as it moves along. It's time-stamped, there's an audit trail, and all of this we now have happening within a matter of minutes if they so choose, or within the morning period. Imagine taking a process that went from 5 days into a morning process, a simple 3 hours. Think about the efficiency that's attached to that. Think about how just having all of the requisite information and visible to the right people at the right time, how seamless this process can take place. But how do we get there? How do we create that digital roadmap? As I spoke to before in step 1, we must create a performance baseline. We must be able to identify the different processes that take place within the departments. What are the outcomes? Outcomes meaning what are the deliverables? What are the reports that they want generated? What is the expectation at the end of the day for each process? And then we must set up those performance metrics. In this process, the process right now in its current state costs this amount of money. It takes this length of time, and we can go back to that example of leave. It now takes 5 days. We could talk about the quality in terms of getting the information. Is there inaccuracy in the information that we're receiving? So we capture all of that in terms of its current state. Then we take note, speaking to the executives, speaking also to the technocrats, speaking to the persons on the field, because that's important. Because sometimes the perspective of the challenges varies from level to level. What the executives may think as a challenge may be different from the technocrats. And then we begin to analyze this current state. Once we've analyzed this current state, we now begin to put together for the organization what our future state design would be. Should you integrate technology, this is what we can do to create a more seamless, more efficient, more centralized data-based space for your organization. We then meet with the key stakeholders for the requisite departments. And we have that meaningful discussion. This is our future state design. This is the vision that we have for your organization. And once we've done that, we get sign-off, we get agreement. And next is the implementation, that tactical implementation plan. But I must stress to you, and this is something very important to note, a lot of organizations expect a quick fix. We have to understand that even after implementation, there is that acclimation of the new process. There is that learning curve that is involved. So even though everything is in place, we must give the organization at least a 3 to 6 months period before we can come back in and measure the new performance of each of the metrics that we identified at the start. We measure those metrics to see the impact that it has, and most importantly, we refine and we tweak when necessary. And now we go to the next stage.
So this stage is another critical stage, but I know most of you will be on launch right now, so just want to run through it quickly. getting the employees involved in the digital transformation process is very important. Revisit your objectives for your company and ensure that your employees are in alignment with that. Once you have that done, then you recreate your digital company culture to match this new digital experience that they're going to be experiencing. Then you have to get somebody to lead the way with digital transformation, which we call a DX officer, a digital transformation officer. And you also have to communicate the benefits effectively, this is a very critical point. Communicate the benefits effectively of digital transformation to your employees to let them know that it's not that we're firing you, but we're retooling you to take another role within the company, right? Because digital transformation is not always about, downsizing. You can move somewhere along the food chain and you can operate. And then finally, we have the hands-on training where all the employees get involved and they, see for themselves how these tools actually enhance their job experience.
And as I mentioned before, guys, we have to measure the impact. And again, these are some of the key areas where we measure the impact from current to present state. In some organizations, they may have more identified as measures that they want, as metrics, that they want to measure. And we can also add those as well to the list of things that we need to measure to really get a full understanding as to the impact that digital transformation has on your organization.
So that has been our process for digital transformation. It's just some simple steps we want to give you to help you to transition your business. But feel free to contact us to book a free consultation on your existing infrastructure so we can send you a proposal that suits your need. So we are here to help you and guide you as you go along the process.
Okay, guys, so I'm just going to put out a few of the questions that I'm seeing in the chat now for us to respond to. So Allison wants to know, Schofield, I believe you were doing Power Automate at that point in time. Could this also be used for project management software?
I would not say yes in isolation. Again, everything is a holistic view. So I would not just go on a whim and say, yes, it can be used. Power Automate can automate processes, but we have to look at it in a holistic manner. We can't just look at it in an isolated fashion because it actually works with in conjunction with other applications.
And so, I see, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so we will have to get some more information from you to be able to determine what's the best case scenario for Power Automate.
And Allison, feel free to use the email that you see in the slide and you can communicate more information to us, or you can feel free to give us a call as well and we can chat about this a little further. Corey, I'm seeing that you agreed with me. In your organization, you're definitely experiencing the same drag when it comes to getting leave processed. And yes, it's a very, very common problem. Trust me, it is, and digital transformation definitely makes it a lot easier. Everyone can view the information they need. There are permissions involved, so it's not everybody sees everything, but the requisite person sees the right things at the right time. And there are other tools that can be used to just keep building on efficiency. And the beauty of digital transformation is extremely scalable as well, which I'm sure a lot of us are very interested in right now.
All right, so I want to thank you guys. If you all have no other questions, I want to thank you guys for signing in and let us know if there are other topics you want us to touch on. There are other areas of digital transformation that we're going to be coming and presenting some more information to you on and continuing building on a foundation that we already established today. So there's going to be more on Office 365, including Dynamics and other applications within there. And we're going to be bringing more of that information forward to you, including the custom apps that we build to show you how these things can actually benefit your environment. So I want to thank you again, and let's make this transitional process an easy and stress-free process. It doesn't have to be that hard.
Thank you guys for spending time with us as well. Dylan, definitely, we will share this video on YouTube so that you can share with your team, and all of you can definitely share it with your team as well so that everyone can see what is possible in their environment and begin to realize the power of the technology that you have and the power of the technology that is out there. Thank you all, guys.